call to order this regular meeting of the Torrington Board of Education at 5:32 p.m. We can all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. When you are ready, you can call roll. Take time.
Mr. Berger will be late. Ms. Conway is on the phone.
Or she will be.
I am here.
Okay, Mr. Corey?
Here.
Mr. Cronin? Mr. Predis? Here. Mr. Nicolito is excused. Ms. Homer here. Mr. Kisco?
Here.
Mr. Knight? Here. Mr. Putnam?
Here.
Mayor Carbone, our representative? Ms. Ferguson? Here. Ms. Klonaszewski? Here. Ms. Labby? Here. Mr. Pagola?
Here.
Ms. Schulte? Here. Ms. Vians?
Excused.
Excused. Mr. Wilson?
Here.
And Mr. Berger has arrived. All set.
Thank you. I think everyone has the agenda either in front of them or on their. Oh, Ms. Beans is here. Okay, great. So I think everybody has the agenda in front of them, either on their tablet or in paper form. So I would hear a motion to approve it or any amendments.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, made by Mr. Knight, seconded by Mr. Predis. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so our agenda is adopted. School, community service, and public participation. Has anybody signed up to address the board?
No.
Would anybody in the audience care to address the board? Is there anyone online who'd like to address the board? Okay, so we'll skip the long-winded paragraph and go right to recognitions. Take it away, Mr. Wilson.
Good evening, thank you. We have a bunch of recognitions, which are always the highlight. We're going to start with Torrington High School. We would just ask that after the students or adults are recognized, that we stand behind here, which has been our customary for a photo op. So, Mr. Scott, take it away.
Actually, have Charlie come up and join me. He can speak a little bit more about both young men. But we are recognizing the outstanding achievement of two of our JROTC cadets tonight for two very different reasons. So, Charlie?
First, I would like to congratulate Cadet Angel Martinez, who was just appointed as our second semester Corps Commander for the whole JROTC program. Angel has been with us. This is his fourth year in JROTC. He's an outstanding leader. He does very well academically in school, and he's going to do a great job for us in the second semester, so we're very much looking forward to that. And secondly, I would like to highlight Cadet Gabriel Mazzacane, who was the first cadet from Torrington High School to be selected for the Air Force Junior ROTC Flight Academy. So, only 15 to 20% of the cadets that put in for this nationwide get accepted for this huge scholarship, where he's going to get 8 weeks of training on flight training at one of the colleges in this area, hopefully in this area. We'll see, but yeah, he's done a great job academically. His AQT test score, that's the aviation qualification test, academics, physical ability, all those things were tested. He was one of the top cadets chosen from the country.
That's our resident photographer. Wait, Mr. Scott. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Ms. Galula. Oh, man, this all double. I like it.
Torringford would like to recognize our instructional coaches, Donna Cifaldi and Cindy Marshall. Our coaches are the backbone of our school. Over the past few years, we've implemented literacy instruction as well as adopted a new literacy program. The Coaches have been critical leaders in teacher development and the science of reading. We are currently piloting math programs this year, as well as providing professional development to staff around best practices in math instruction. And our coaches are in high demand to support teachers in these initiatives. Their expertise and collaborative approach allows teachers to feel comfortable working to improve instructional practices and take risks. Additionally, the coaches wear many hats, especially while we've been without some of our OTL administrators this past year. They support data input, development, analysis, as well as resource management and vetting, sometimes in the basement unpacking boxes. They have taken on additional responsibilities with grace, efficiency, and positive outlook. Our coaches not only support our staff and students, but they also support families. This year, our coaches attended specific training for family literacy nights and hosted a successful family engagement event with another one planned in the spring. Our success as a school is directly related to the phenomenal relationship our coaches have with the staff and our school community. Lana and Cindy.
Thank you. Congrats. Mr. Michelson. And Ms. Baker.
I was hoping to go before Torringford because she kind of stole all of my words, but we're recognizing our coaches tonight as well. Kyle O'Toole, who is here in the back, you can work your way up whenever you're ready, Kyle. And Lori Filipiak, whose son has a basketball game tonight, so she's there watching with family, which is always important as well. So, along with all that Kelly said, we wanted to recognize these two dedicated educators. When our Director of Academics and Intervention Support transitioned to a new role, we all had to step up, take some extra tasks. And we knew these positions would take some time to fill, and it would take some time. I hear that's coming true very soon, which is great. In the interim, we were all happy to step up, but our coaches are the ones that did the vast majority of the heavy lifting. Before we could even ask, they rolled up their sleeve, they've jumped right in and got to work. Since then, they've been organizing assessments, administering assessments, distributing materials, updating curriculum maps, planning, leading grade 11 meetings, all while continuing to provide support for our teachers. We have more new teachers this year than we've had in a while. They've stepped in to coach them, to make them feel welcome, to do all of the things that new teachers need in order to be successful, and they have been. We have a great crop of new teachers, thanks to them and everybody's hard work. Dedication has been invaluable. Their leadership has made the transition not just manageable, but successful. Our students and teachers are lucky to have them. And
Mrs. Ronaldo. How do you use the binder for you?
Oh, I know, I have a lot here.
That's
We have
great.
an amazing school community. So it is my absolute honor to recognize Ms. Liza Rosa as well as our entire cheer team for TMS. I have to tell you, as a sixth grade teacher, history teacher, Liza has been an integral part of our school community long before I got there. I remember the first time I met you, and as we spoke, I could tell that you had children in your heart and you wanted what was best for our students. So fast forward a year, when some sixth grade students came to me with the idea, and as a middle school principal, I love to support all student ideas. And they said, Mr. Rinaldi, we need something new in the school. We need a cheer team or a dance team. Liza jumped up at the opportunity. And she has mentored these students in a year and a half. She has had this outpouring of students. I go in, I see them stunting. She's collaborated with the high school cheer team as well to create that pipeline of middle to high school. And I think the part that warms my heart is that the students have been cheering at sporting events, unified sports. I've received emails from community members how proud they are. And when we look at students in middle school, this is what's shaping their experience. And that is because of Ms. Rosa's dedication to them and the willingness to take on this challenge. So thank you so much.
This photo might be a little. We're all gonna get this. They don't have to take a photo.
Oh, boy, they want you to cheer.
Yeah, ladies.
You guys come in front and.
Marissa can't get the photo with Bob. Then I get in trouble, don't make me get in trouble.
Oh, you can't see me? Okay, there we go.
Hi, John. Good. I'm at a Board of Ed meeting. Can I call you back in It's 921-3298. Okay.
Just do a happy.
Thank you. I'll call you when I get home.
You guys just come over here. Couple of you over there. Do it in this, I don't care where you're standing. Yep. You're gonna do that, you're calling, you guys just pop into half. If you only have. Yeah, just pop down. Who's calling it? Who normally calls it? Yeah, you're up. Blue.
Yell at girls.
White.
Yell at.
Yell out your colors, Vikings blue and white. Yell out your colors, Vikings blue and white. Yell out your colors, Vikings blue and white. Yell out your colors, Vikings blue and white.
Mr. Pergola was ready to jump up there. I saw that, he was ready to cheer guy. Well, we're going to start right now.
I think so. Thank you, Mr. Wilson, and thank you, ladies, for cheering for us. And congratulations, especially to our young gentlemen down there for both of your achievements. Looking forward to hearing about flight school when you come back. Okay, it's you guys are up actually. Student representatives report. Take it away whenever you are ready, gentlemen.
Excuse me. Hi, my name is Gabriel Mazzacane.
My name is Angel Martinez.
We'll be your student presenters tonight. This month, there was a Raider reunion held at the Old Torrington High School building, which was a truly memorable event, drawing over 1,000 alumni, teachers, and families to celebrate the history and legacy of Torrington High School. The success of the event was largely due to the exceptional leadership of Ms. Erin Sullivan, who led a dedicated team of volunteers in bringing the celebration to life. Highlights from this day included alumni of all ages coming together in the photo booth, celebrating new memories while laughing and posing with old friends. Guests enjoyed exploring memorabilia displays featuring yearbooks, graduation programs, student handbooks, and vintage newspaper clippings, which allowed them to relive cherished moments from the past. Each hallway in the building was adorned with posters listing teachers who had taught there, sparking nostalgic conversations and helping attendees reconnect with the history of our school. One of the most symbolic moments of the day was the sledgehammer swing, where attendees had the opportunity to take a swing with a sledgehammer to say goodbye to the building before its upcoming changes. The day concluded with a heartfelt Tea Light tribute, where alumni lit candles in memory of teachers and classmates who have passed, providing a deeply moving moment of reflection.
In athletic news, we are also thrilled to announce that Mr. Mike McKenna, our athletic director, has been honored with the Robert Duncanson Meritorious Service Award by the Connecticut Association of Athletic Directors, the CAAD. This prestigious award recognizes athletic directors who exemplify the highest ideals of sportsmanship, integrity, and leadership in their roles. Mr. McKenna's dedication to our student and to high school athletics in Connecticut is truly deserving of this recognition, and we are proud to have him on our team. At the start of January, we hosted 3 nights for families to tour their new facility, familiarize themselves with the space, and review their schedules. This event marked the beginning of an exciting new chapter for our school community. As we celebrate 60 years of our school's history, this state-of-the-art facility, which features state-of-the-art engineering lab, digital communication facilities, a soon-to-be-completed construction lab, a podcast room, a music production studio, new art rooms with beautiful natural light, and an updated college and career center in our school counseling suite, represents the future, one filled with innovation opportunity, and endless possibilities. We've had an incredibly successful grand opening and a thrilling first week in our new high school building. Filled with excitement and anticipation, the energy from students, staff, and families has been palpable as everyone embraced the new spaces and opportunities. It's been a week of explorations, connection, and a sense of pride as we officially begin this exciting new chapter in our school's history. The facility has already proven to be a vibrant hub of learning and innovation, and we can't wait to see all the incredible possibilities it will offer as the year progresses. Thank you for listening, and that concludes our Torrington High School Board report. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Would any members of the board want to question or remark on the student representatives report? Hearing none, you are both, of course, more than welcome to stay with us for the duration of our meeting, but you shouldn't feel any obligation to do so. And of course, I'd like to pause as well to give anybody who's been patiently waiting for these gentlemen to finish their report. If you don't want to stay for the rest of our meeting and want to make a quiet exit now, would be the time. With that, we will hear from the superintendent.
Thank you. Good evening, all. Lot of exciting things as our student representatives have shared. What I'd like to share with the board this evening is some highlights from the last time that we've got together. All central office cabinet members served lunch to our wonderful students just before the holiday break. And it was a wonderful time for all of us to interact with our students and for our cafeteria staff. Thanks to Ms. Gavin, who really orchestrated and put that together. We had a wonderful time. I was at the high school, obviously I got the best lunch server award. So the rest of the cabinet members were a little upset by that, but I think it was a real good opportunity for all of us. Sue Ferguson and I attended the Raider Rally in early January and attended both basketball games. Mr. Berger, this one's for you. You were there at the basketball games with us, along with your daughter. She wanted me to share it, so everyone at the board was aware. We did not take the lead until Mr. Berger changed his seat. And Mr. Berger was the jinx, as said by his daughter. So he did change his seat, we came back and we won the game. Mr. Berger, you could take that up with your family members, but it was from your daughter. I told her I would get it in. Sue and I attended all 3 of the parent-teacher nights at the new THS building. Amazing. simply put, amazing. The families and the students, everyone was so excited and everyone walked out saying how wonderful and beautiful and how amazed and impressed they were. So it was a great 3 evenings. The next days after that, the entire central office cabinet and some of our administrators from other buildings came to the new THS to greet our students on their first day. And it was probably the coldest day of the year, but we were outside cheering them all on, and it was an amazing day. And really, the excitement couldn't have been higher, and the energy. You know, typically when we greet our high school friends at the door, you get a ugh, and that day it was, we're excited. It was a real proud moment for all of us. Sue, Laura, and I attended the second annual spelling bee this morning at TMS. And those pictures are probably hot off the press on Facebook as we speak, and it was a great day to see our students. And those words were not easy, but they did prevail, and we did have a winner that will go on to the next levels. Our administrators have been working very hard, holding their mid-year meetings and conferences with their teachers to continue to promote growth and collaborative partnership. Just like us at central office, we've midway through all of our mid-year meetings with our administrators to discuss how things are going and to discuss growth amongst all of our students in the buildings. We've continued to be visible, not only Sue and I, but the entire central office cabinet throughout the district, throughout the buildings, and they've been given a charge to be more visible on a weekly basis, and they've done that in our schools, and our students have really appreciated that. Donna, Sue, Kim, Dean, Rachel, Kristen, Laura, myself, obviously, we've been working around the clock on our budget. We're very happy that our budget will be emailed to the board for their review. So a special shout out to all of those individuals. It's a team effort, as everything is, and the board is part of that team. And we couldn't be more excited about all of that hard work, and I could not be more thankful for their efforts. And that is all I have this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. I also want to throw out there that I'm tremendously excited that we've moved our high school students into the new building. I want to thank all of you for all the work that you have done facilitating that move and getting them in there. And while throwing out thank yous, I saw her sneak in, so I want to give a quick, real thank you and shout out to the former chair of this board, Fiona Capabianca, who was the real visionary for the last decade or more, pushing to get this school project initiated and done. And who continues to pour her time into it. I didn't think she would stand up, so I didn't look. But we owe you tremendously, Fiona. Now that this project is on the verge of completion, we owe more of it to you than the people of this city will ever know. So thank you. I was still sitting in the cheap seats when she envisioned this project. Does anyone have any remarks or questions for the superintendent's report? Okay. Hearing none, Kim, take it away for human resources.
Thank you. I just want to say, Dean and I served at the middle school, and I'm pretty sure we rocked it. So I'm not really sure about, the award, but Dean and I made a very good team at the middle school. So. And my toes are now just warming up from the opening day of the high school. So it was very cold, but it was an awesome day. So echo all of that Mr. Wilson brought up. But as far as my HR report goes, I'm excited to say that our certified vacancies are filled right now. We do have some long-term absences and things like that we're looking for, but as far as actual full-time positions, currently they are all filled. So
That's great.
kudos to the whole administrative team for all the work they're doing on interviewing and candidates, so we're excited about that. Our classified positions continue to turn a little bit. We hire 2, we lose 1, we hire 2, we lose 1, so that, tends to move, but we're still trending right around where we were this time last year, so we're not, but we do have a few para openings, a couple cafeteria openings, secretary and a custodian, so that's where we are for absences. I gave you the December fill rates and the December absences, since we didn't have a board meeting in December, just for your reference. The November fill rate for the teachers was 73%, the November fill rate for the paras was 39%, And for absences, the November rate was 8%, and for the paras, it was almost 11%. So our paras continued to be a little bit of a challenge with the absences. You'll see on the second page, there was a significant spike in some long-term absences. So that's kind of what's driving that number up. So we're working on that. So with our HR initiatives, we have sent out information to our non-certified staff about our 2 residency programs, Relay and TRP. I think we have at least 2 people that are interested for next year, so I'm excited about that. Job fair season is upon us, and we just registered for UConn, so we'll be registering for the other ones shortly, and getting ready to go out with all of our great Torrington swag. We have almost completed our January office hours. We have 1 school left, which is the high school, because we gave them a little bit of a break because they were a little busy. And so we're going week of February for our office hours at the new site. So, and the attendance incentives for Q2 were distributed. We had 146 employees that received the incentive for Q2. For wellness, we were able to do the chair massages at every site for December, so that was exciting with our new benefit provider. And we rolled out our new well-being platform, which includes a new walking challenge platform that we now get as part of our partnership with our new benefit provider. So we can use it all year long and do other things, not just a walking challenge. So to kind of let everybody test run it, we ran up a mini walking challenge for this month, and it's just a couple weeks long. The flyer's in the packet just so you can see what it looks like, because the platform actually allows us to create customized materials that have our Torrington logo on it and everything, so it's actually a really cool platform. My team is having a lot of fun on the back end right now, so that's very exciting. So we've got, I think, 200 people that are registered for the walking challenge, so. And then on the second page, you have the same data that you've always had. You can see that for the paras, that long-term number spiked a little. So that's kind of driving that absenteeism number, and then the turnover rates. So I'm happy to answer questions.
Any questions from members of the board regarding the human resources report? Looks like you're off the hook. Thank you.
Thank you.
Special education report, take it away.
Okay, and I had the pleasure of serving at Vogel Wetmore. I have not had that much fun since I think I left teaching. It was really, really fun, and it's amazing how many 6-year-olds can try to talk to you at the same time. So it was really fun, a fun day. So my report today, it's pretty mild, considering that this is over 2 months' time, because this goes from November 1st till January 1st, as we didn't have the December meeting. And the numbers you can see are really status quo, which is good. And the reason why we're up is because of pre-K. So again, we continue to just bring those little people in as soon as they turn 3. So we are up to 95 preschoolers right now. Our prevalence rate is still under the 16%, which is where we need it to be. And we currently have 33 open special ed referrals, so those are kids that are in the process of being evaluated. 504 plans are up 20 from, the months are listed wrong there, I apologize, but the numbers are correct. The only thing I wanted to point out too, down at the bottom, I thought it might be helpful to just have an idea of what our outplacement costs look like, because I've talked about how they're expensive, but I don't really think people have an understanding of what that really looks like. So currently for this school year, our highest tuition is close to $300,000 for one student, and our lowest is $64.80. And we have kids, the reason why there's such a difference is because we currently have children placed at 23 different schools. And that's basically because all of them do things a little differently, and we have to look at who's gonna be able to meet the needs of our kids. And then there's a process of applying, and sometimes children might not be appropriate for some schools, and so we might have to look at a different school. So that's why, we don't just say, oh, well, we can put everybody at the 64-8 school. It doesn't work that way. So I just wanted you to be aware of that. Basically our out of district average for this year is about 118.7 a student. So this is why when we have a new child move in, it can really throw the sped budget either way. So I just wanted to make you aware of that.
And that's just, you put in parentheses tuition only. The
Yeah.
transportation is in addition to those.
Correct.
And all the
Yeah,
other
completely
ancillaries.
separate, yep. If somebody needed the one-on-one, you know, things like that.
Now, same thing, same topic, the tuition, is this just inclusive of, I shouldn't say just inclusive. Is this inclusive of, like behavior students, for example, students who are expelled and placed elsewhere, or is this only, like the non-expelled students who have outplaced?
So it's not students who are just expelled.
Right.
If there may be a special education student.
Then they could be included.
Correct,
Of
but
course.
this is students that for whatever reason, we could not provide them with a free and appropriate public education, and we need to put them in a school that can. So that's why they're outplaced.
Yeah,
So our expelled fees are in addition to this.
Well, that's why I wanted to
Yeah,
Correct.
all in addition to.
Okay, great,
Yep.
this is great, thank you, does anybody else have anything regarding the special education report? Thank you.
Welcome.
We have liaison reports, see a bunch of stuff in here from our sites. Does anybody have anything they wanna add, either members of the board who are liaisons, say John for EdAdvance, or any of our administrators, if you would like to jump in and add anything that hasn't been sent via email or included in the packet, this is your moment. Okay, so we'll move right ahead to the monthly financials. Take it away.
Great, so the monthly financials are in the packet, and we're in good standing. Any slight variances that we had were given to the budget committee, and we're, like I said, in good standing at this point. I don't know if anybody had any questions?
I would like to throw out there, and I don't want this to become a nakedly political discussion. I'm just looking at the monthly financials, but my general question, and this is really for looking ahead, is there's been some talk of certain or most federal funds to states and municipalities being frozen by the federal government. And regardless of whether we think they could or should do that, I am interested in like how much of that of our financials flow through the federal government. I know, for example, the lunch and breakfast program, the title funds, but there are probably lots of other little trickles of federal funding that I don't know. So I guess maybe for next time, next budget meeting or next meeting here, just a sort of sense of what federal dollars are coming in. Because if that lengthy court battle plays out in a way that leads to those funds being frozen, I think we ought to be prepared for that. That's all I have. Anybody else?
That one's a moving target, because late this afternoon, the president announced a suspension of that order.
Right.
So,
It's just something I think we should keep on the radar. If it's in the mix in Washington, it's better to be prepared than not.
that is true.
Okay, thank you very much. We have committee reports. I know most of our committees did not meet for one reason or another this month, but we've got the budget committee on the agenda. Do you care to add anything other than what we just heard? Great. That's a good thing for the budget
Plugging
committee.
away.
If it's just monthly financials and run-of-the-mill activities, that is a good month.
We did adjust the schedule for the following days.
Okay.
That's it.
Excellent. Anyone have anything to add or any questions for the budget committee? And for those who may not have heard Ellen, because sometimes she tends to be quiet, what she said is that they adjusted the budget schedule for this year's budget. It's very exciting stuff. So then the building committee, obviously our high school students have moved in the building, but it's still ongoing as a project if anyone on the team wants to add anything on behalf of the building committee.
I don't have any updates. Dean, do you have anything you want to add?
No, it's, the opening went fantastic. Everybody pitched in to make sure it went smooth. And even the second and third day, first day's always nice and shiny, and now we're into it for a week or so, and a few bumps here and there, but everybody's working together, so it, that hardly felt.
I have one thing, at the building committee, we pointed out the punch list, O&G is well aware of the punch list. Dean is also aware of that punch list plus other items that we've made O&G aware of, so that there is no discrepancy, that it did not happen once we moved in, these were items that needed to be done prior to us taking over and moving in. And the building committee heard that loud and clear, O&G heard that loud and clear. Dean has been working with them. We do have that list. Mr. Scott has also had a list that he's shared with Dean. So I want this committee, this group, I should say, to understand and know that we're taking those things very seriously. And we don't want them to come back and say, well, now that's on you, you must have done that. And then Dean would have to ask the facility subcommittee for additional dollars. And that's not going to happen. So I just wanted our board to understand we made that loud and clear, and we'll continue to monitor that.
Roughly how many items are on it?
Ooh, Dean, I'd give you the floor on that.
Not taking it.
A lot.
It's.
And a lot of it has been duplicated in what they have and what we have, which is good, which means they saw some of it, but there's a lot of stuff.
It was original to put a number to it, but all kidding aside, it was roughly at 1,000 items that went down to about 700 on their end, but then went back up to about 995. So we're hovering there, but they're aware of it.
And working through it with you.
100%.
As long as everybody is working together and it's gonna get solved,
That's what it
if we're
comes
not
down
in
to.
a dispute with them, I am okay.
As long as they keep Rachel and Dean happy, I'm okay as well.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you, folks. Board of Education minutes, unless the board would like to bifurcate these as they are on the agenda, I would hear one motion to approve the following minutes, the regular meeting minutes from 11/20/24 and the special meeting minutes from 12/9/24, 12/11/24, and 1/21/25, if there is such a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion, amendments to the minutes? Okay.
Someplace in the minutes of one of the regular meetings, there's a line that probably was being cut and pasted and so on, so. If you have any trouble finding it, I mean, it's strictly that, it's just typos, but if we want the minutes to be accurate.
Okay, and as long as you guys, as the mover and seconder there are fine with that, we'll go ahead and vote on this with that change. Done? Good? Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, those minutes are approved. I will also hear a motion again as one consent agenda for the following subcommittee meeting minutes. Facilities and Technology on 11/13/24, Budget on 11/13/24, and the Building Committee's minutes from 10/17/24, 11/21/24, and 12/4/24, if there is such a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second? Okay, moved by Ms. Brennan, seconded by Mr. Cronin. Any discussion or amendments to those minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, those minutes are received and approved as well. Next up, the consent agenda, just somewhere in the packet.
Page 77.
I'm behind. 77. Going. I mean, I'll hear a motion on it. I assume that there's nothing earth shattering in here. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I have a question, if I could.
Yeah, we can do discussion for the motion.
Sure. Just in the consent agenda, I'm not sure if it's a date, an effective date thing, or if we've hired an additional. I just noticed we have a new high school and middle school school counselor and a high school and middle school school counselor, but the resignation dates don't line up. So the middle school counselor, looks like it says 6/30/2025, but the hires are January 2025. So is it, are we adding another person now? Just wanted to get an idea what that was.
Can't talk about personnel matters at.
Just as a position,
So,
are we adding a new position?
So no, we're not adding any position.
Okay.
I don't know anything about this, but I would just posit that some of the reasons why that sort of thing can happen is an employee's on extended leave, is injured, is retiring and using up all of their vacation. So, it could be any number of things, not all of which are negative.
I always reconcile them out, me looking at what's going on, so just wanted to get some clarity.
Anyone else have anything regarding the consent agenda? Okay, actually, we have not heard a motion. I will hear a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, made by Mr. Knight, seconded by Mrs. Predis. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Okay, that is received. We are on to the fun stuff. So we have an RFP for propane. I assume that's you, Dean, or is that?
Actually,
It's auto propane.
Oh, it's auto.
For the buses.
I see.
And, so we're going out to bid for the propane, and we're aligning it with our bus contract. So, the RFP is included in the packet, and it was reviewed at the budget committee as well. And we're looking for a 2-year, 4-month, application to align, like I said, with the All-Star contract.
Excellent. Anyone have any discussion related to the RFP? Yeah, go ahead.
What's the timeframe on that? That when it will go out and close?
Sure. So we want to get it done by March 1st, because that's when the current contract is up. So we're probably, if it's approved tonight, we'll post it as soon as tomorrow. Give people, a week turnaround and some questioning time, so probably reviewing it mid to the 3rd week of February.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
And that will coincide exactly with the bus schedule, so
Correct.
that we don't run out of propane or we don't
Yes.
run out of buses.
Yeah, I see some dates throughout February in here as well, so it'll be hopefully a speedy process. You never know with bidding services.
My only question is, I did see the 2 years and 4 months, thank you, but it has an option for a renewal for up to 3 additional years, which would take it. I think our transportation contract usually runs in a 5-year term, so it would take it outside of the alignment again. And it's almost like it's an extension longer than the duration of the contract, which I thought was kind of unusual.
We still have extension options with our current bus contract, right? Or are we at the end?
I didn't see one.
So it'll have to get rebid.
Right, so we could amend it if we would like to 5 years, or we could.
Well, I was thinking, is there a reason to offer the extension, given that that's the period of time, it would all line up. And if we extended our new transportation contract, looking back as far as I could see, seems to be 5 years. So we'd end up off schedule again.
I think my take would be that having the option to extend is only an option. And if we do end up with the same bus provider that we've had for God knows how many years now, then it would be seamless, and the board at that time can simply extend. I see no reason not to include an option for extension. It has to be mutual. If the board at that time elects not to extend the contract and wants to rebid them both at the same time, that's their prerogative, but I don't see any fault in having an option.
Can you have an extension that's longer than I don't know the answer to that.
Well, if we go to a different bus provider and they don't have propane buses and they refuse to convert to them, and now we're using diesel machines, then we just wouldn't extend that propane contract. Anyone else? Okay, so hearing no further discussion on that, I would hear a motion to approve the language of the RFP for propane and to authorize the central office administration to go ahead and post it and receive bids. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, made by Mr. Kisco, seconded by Mr. Berger. Any additional discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so you guys are all set with that. We have
This is not having to see.
okay, so we I'm just informed that we are gonna have to make a quick on-the-fly adjustment to the agenda, so under
You
item.
could give an update though.
Yeah, under item 8, G2, which is memorandum to address the Eversource refund. the city has yet to play their part in play, and so we can't take a vote on that, but just so briefly, the background of this, it's related to the building project, the sewer connection fee, and a rebate that we get from Eversource for energy efficiency upgrades, because municipal finance is never simple. So the basic gist of it is, we would like, and tentatively, my understanding is that we're working with the city, and that they're in line with this, instead of paying up front for the sewer connection fee, they'll float it until either A, the end of the fiscal year and the start of the new one, or B, when Eversource issues the check for the rebate. And the rebate funds will be used to pay for the connection fees. Now, there's some complicated moving parts there to make sure that everything's in line for auditors and, everyone's following the rules, but I think that's the basic gist of it. So we're just working through some of the finer points of it. But we hope to bring this for the board's approval on our end soon. Sue and I are in support of this, but obviously we have to put it before all of you. But it's a little bit complicated in the way the money moves, but it's good for everybody. Instead of having to cough up new cash and then take the rebate later and find something to do with it, I think the city is willing and able to float that fee for a little while, hold it in abeyance, if you will, so that we can pay them with the rebate. It would be better for everybody. Do you have anything to add to that?
Do you want a motion on that, or just?
No, we anticipated that.
Not to reject.
we had anticipated that it would be countersigned for this meeting and we could vote on it and it would be a done deal, but it's not.
Right, so Sue and I have
It's just
sort of.
informational.
Right, Sue and I have preliminarily signed on behalf of the board, obviously with the understanding that it doesn't go into effect on our end until you all vote on it. We were hoping to have the mayor's signature, again tentatively, on the document so she could bring it before her boards and we could get everybody to vote and go ahead with it, but they haven't signed on the city side quite yet and agreed to bring it to their boards, so just a slight delay there. Anything else related to that? Okay. So we have 2 field trips up. First up is, they're both for the high school, the biomedical science careers, would like to go to Boston on March 29th.
Yeah, do you have somebody here to speak to this, or do you want me to speak?
You can speak to it, I can answer the question.
Okay, this is Angela Norridge is proposing this trip. She is proposing taking a group of National Science National Honor Society students to the Boston Conference Center. There's no cost associated with this trip. It's in partnership with the community college. There's some grant funding associated with it. It's to really just expose kids to possibilities in biomedical science careers. It's a 1-day trip. It leaves bright and early and it gets back around bedtime.
Excellent. Anyone have any?
Question? I saw there's 20 students going, are there 20 spots available, or are there more available, or are those just our bio national?
No, I think the capacity I think they'll only take 20 at a time. I think
Okay,
that's
so
what
we'll
it is.
just rotate.
All right, do you know if there are more, will she just run it again, or will
Yeah,
this cover what we need?
This will cover what we need for right now.
Okay.
If there are students who, in the path, because it's associated with our pathway. So if there are students who next year are interested and reach that point, she'll take another group of 20 students next year and keep taking as many students as are interested. Angel's been great about doing these kinds of trips, really giving students an opportunity to interact and explore with people in those careers.
Anyone else? As long as folks are okay with it, I think it makes sense, as these are the same agenda item, to just hear about the Greece and Italy spring break trip, and then if folks would like to vote on them together for convenience, we can do that or vote on them separately. Hearing no objection to that, let's hear about the Greece and Italy spring break 2026 trip.
Yeah, thank you, and Erin Sullivan is here to cheerlead that experience.
So this is part of our continuing opportunities that we're offering students at the high school for international travel that will give them a broader view of the world, open up opportunities to understand their place as a global citizen. And we have ramped this up, as you guys know, in the recent years, so that we are now offering 1 to 2 trips per year. And this is the one that's on the docket for 2026. Okay, it will cover Rome, Florence, and multiple different spots in Greece. We're going through the Greece countryside a little bit and ending in Athens. So that will help to give them some ancient history, we're going to be touching on some literary history, some art history that ties in well with our senior curriculum, as well as exposing them to the culture of both languages.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions regarding that?
This is being proposed for when?
This is for spring of 2026.
Spring of when?
2026.
Okay, thank you, I was having trouble hearing you.
Welcome.
And the students do significant fundraising related to this throughout, it's
Yeah,
sort
we
of a
actually-
commitment that they
yeah.
make to try and raise as much money as they can to defray the costs, right?
Yeah, we just did a bingo fundraiser a couple weeks ago, actually, that brought in 3,000.
Excellent.
So.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have anything, either question or discussion wise related to these? Unless there is an objection, I would hear a motion to approve both field trips. So that'll be the Biomedical Science Careers Field Trip to Boston, Massachusetts on March 29th, 2025, and the Greece and Italy Spring Break Trip 2026. I hear a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, made by Mr. Knight, seconded by Mr. Putnam. Any additional discussion, questions before us? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the field trips are approved.
Thank you.
Approved field trips is always my favorite part of any Board of Ed meeting, so no thanks is necessary. Okay, we have next up the presentation on the district's proposed redistricting plan.
Thank you, good evening. Trying to join Zoom so I don't have to have Josh. Yeah, I'm trying to share my screen.
Oh, God, I'll share it.
Right in center.
You got it, John? Thank you. So normally for any presentation, I wouldn't give the highlights of the presentation in the beginning, but I think it's very important for this particular plan because we've heard about this way back in November of 2023. The board had directed me and subsequently the team to come up with something and come up with an idea on what our thoughts would be now that we have this wonderful new building and then we're gonna have our 7-8, and what does that mean for us and what are we gonna do? So as I've said numerous times, the board is part of the team, so the highlights here are really what our plans are to repurpose into intermediate school, which the board has already voted a name on, so thank you for that. So you'll see that name in there, that comes from your vote. And then just what we have ideas for the other buildings. And the members of the team will jump in with some of their thoughts. And, it's kind of a working dialogue, if you will, as we go through the slides. But I wanted the board to understand that really the crux is we are gonna be having a 4-6 building. So our 2 4-5s, in essence, will go to the intermediate school on joint 6. And then we have Southwest and Forbes. And Southwest will be repurposed into a K3 to offset the overcrowding at Vogel and Torringford. And Forbes, we have a wonderful, wonderful, amazing idea of an alternative school. And thanks to the redistricting committee, we had that committee that was started and, we did listen and we did hear ideas and people got to hear our ideas. And there's a lot of moving parts whenever there's a change. And I want this board to be aware of, there's obviously union discussions that have to be had. There's obviously other conversations that have to go out. And our partners, our team at central office are more than aware of that. And we've already started having those conversations and letting them know that tonight's the night where the board gets to officially, once again, hear from November 2023, that idea that has now come to a slide deck. And I could share this slide deck after the meeting. I didn't think it would be appropriate beforehand. So I just want everyone to understand the highlights of what you're about to hear, and obviously from the team when they will interject.
And you're going to be talking about what's on the slides?
Absolutely. I got you.
I hate these presentations. I really do.
It's all good. So
Thanks.
for 25-26, the schools that we'll have our wonderful brand new Torrington High School, we'll have our brand new Torrington Middle School, we'll have our repurposed and I want to say brand new, because it will be exciting for our 4-6 students. And I want to pause here for a second and give a shout out to Mr. Pergola, who has not only spent 1 million hours at the new building, but the other half of those hours at Torrington Middle School, really getting it ready in terms of cleanliness, in terms of foreshadowing for welcoming our younger students there. And that just does not go unnoticed. So thank you, Dean. Torringford, Vogel, Wetmore, and Southwest. Josh, if you will. So no change, right? What's not changing? So the school structures that are remaining the same. We're having our 9-12, we're not taking them out of a brand new $180 million facility. We have our Torringford grades pre-K to 3, and we will have Vogel, Wetmore grades pre-K to 3. So what's new? What's going to change? So obviously TMS will only be grades 7 and 8. Torrington Intermediate School, grades 4 through 6. Southwest School will now be grades K to 3. And Forbes will turn into something amazing called Fast Academy. So why 3 elementary buildings? Well, we all know, and if you haven't heard, Vogel and Torringford are busting at the seams. And while we can continue with 2 K-3 buildings, it's just not appropriate. And when we're moving our 4-6 school, I'm on our 4-5 schools, we also have to have a house for our little pre-K friends. So Vogel, Wetmore, and Torringford, and now Southwest will be our K-3 models. How do we do that? By relieving the strain, 2 kindergarten, 2 first grade, 2 second grade, and 2 third grade from each of those buildings, Vogel and Torringford, which would make Southwest have 4, 4, 4, and 4, which is wonderful. And I think that will help, and that will help also with our bus routes, which we will talk about momentarily.
Can you do that again for me, please?
So 2 from each grade, Mr. Knight, so 2 kindergarten, 2 first, 2 second, and 2 third from Vogel, and the same from Torringford. So Southwest will now hold 4 kindergarten, 4 first grade, 4 second, and 4 third.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, why Fast Academy? And this is where the team I know is anxious. Laura's like, I can see it, Laura. I know you're ready to jump in. I can't wait for you to jump in. So, we would like to use the space for the following. We want to have a 7-12 alternative school for those of our students that need an alternative setting. We currently have those alternative programs in our in our middle school currently and in our high school. And what's neat about this is that those staff members would indeed stay in our middle school and high school. These would be new staff members, and we'll get to that momentarily. Why? Because we heard from our redistricting committee, why not keep the staff if this is the time to try something new, so that that staff can offer more supports and more electives to our students in those buildings. And we said, awesome idea. So that's exactly what we're doing here. That's exactly what's going on. The school would run on a shortened schedule where our students would receive the following core classes: math, ELA, science, social studies, and then an elective. In my experience, and in the cabinet's experience, whenever we do an alternative program, any elective is a great elective, but PE tends to be the best because it also covers state guidelines of having mandatory physical education. The students would eat lunch and then exit for the day. Our hope is to try to assist these students with employment opportunities. So the teachers in this program would use that last period of their day, their common prep period, and job coaching and job shadowing experience would be offered. And Sue and I were talking, and feel free to jump in, Sue, I don't want to put you on the spot, but when we had talked about this, we know the wonderful program at the high school where we have that partnership with O&G. How great is that to have the O&G folks come and talk as well to these students, and they're on a shortened day, they can actually work. Other areas that might not just be the construction field, maybe they're interested, I don't know, in the computer field. Tap into Mr. Putnam, maybe he'd come in and hire some of our students, right? And we would love that. And I think that would be the wonder of this program, because we're partnering with our community, we're showing our students that you're getting your education, this is wonderful, and also, hey, wait a second, now you can get a job, and you can use this as a foundation. Sue, please, if you...
Yeah, the only thing that I would add, honestly, is oftentimes what we find with students who do better in an alternative setting is that they don't really see at their age the value of school. Many of them are just looking at, look, I gotta get out, I gotta get a job, I gotta make some money. We're seeing more and more of that after the pandemic, because as you know, kids went to work during COVID. They got a taste of that and then they don't wanna give that up, right? So if we could show students that they can do both, they can get their education, that we're gonna give them a schedule that allows them to then go to work and learn a trade, learn a skill. You know, we've looked around the state at other programs and we think that we could create something like that very successfully.
Thank you so much. Josh? Laura? Oh, one back, Josh. Thank you. So we currently house our 18 to 22-year-old program off-site. And this has been something that we have had to do, and we understand that we've had to do that. And it's currently housed at the old East School. And I think from day one, minute one on the job, Laura said, how can we bring these students back? And I said, well, Laura, can I actually get to my office before we have that conversation? So this is a way to bring our students back. And I know Laura is excited about that, and I know Laura will talk a little about that, unless you want to pause now, Laura, and I can jump to the next one. Okay, so we know our expelled students are also housed sometimes outside and sometimes inside, depending on the numbers. And while it's an unfortunate experience that when we have any expelled student, to send them somewhere other than under our care and under our tutelage, is sometimes we lose that control. And we don't want to lose that control. We want to be able to have a separate portion of that building and bring our expelled students back to receive their education, whether it be tutoring or in person. There'll be 3 students per room, per tutor, which we currently have. And we also have the benefit now of having those other teachers that we had mentioned in the alternative program to be able to answer any questions that these tutors have. Sometimes when the process is from a tutor, we have to email the high school or to the middle school, wait to get a response, go on Google Classroom. There's a time delay. So this would allow that immediate impact where students and those tutors can get the information they need. We'll also use that space. We know that we're losing a lot of space even at Midgeon Avenue, and we want to be able to use that space for storage. And that will be another part of that building. And also for just-in-time PD. We call it just-in-time PD. There are many times throughout the year that this board is aware where Laura will come in and say, oh, she just held one of her restraint trainings, or she just held a training. Well, that means she came to central office and so did everyone else, and everyone took over the parking lot. So while that's great, and we don't mind that, having a spot to do just-in-time training, but it goes beyond that. Everyone has heard about the wonderful benchmark program. If Sue wants to hold a grade 6, for example, PD, and have the coaches over there, we can hold the just-in-time PD there. We have that space. We are not taking over other spaces. So really excited to have that space for those opportunities. And it could be, as I said, PD across the range. It could even be if Dean wanted to have a PD with some of our maintenance staff, or if Rachel wanted to have a PD with some of the technology staff. It's for the district. It's not just for one purpose. And Laura, I know you had some other ideas possible for this building, so please.
Sure, so I'm excited because, like Michael said, from the get-go, I didn't really feel that, that the 18 to 22 program at East was like our home. And now I feel like this is gonna be their home. And, you know, Dean and the crew are doing a great job with getting things like together, like what are we gonna bring with us, what might we need to get our hands on. But we've really been able to build this program over the past few years, and quite honestly, we're kind of the big dogs in the northwest corner because we have all these little tiny school systems all around us, and we're really the big guys. And so when we go to our LCDA meetings, a lot of times there's talk about, you know, do you ever take students in, you know, for tuition? And I think that having this opportunity moving forward, maybe not year one, but we may be able to bring other students in from other districts and charge tuition for it. So I'm excited about that possibility. The other thing is that sometimes I hear, you know, as far as the special ed end of things, the biggest difficulties in the school are some of the behavioral issues that we see. And I think that this gives us another opportunity. So perhaps for a student that really is having a difficult time making it work in the high school or in the middle school, they would be able to go here and work in that different kind of environment and hopefully be able to earn their credits, do what they need to do to get back in. Because as I said, if not, then I'm getting the call, Laura, we're gonna have to outplace. Okay, hold on a minute, let's wait a minute, we don't even have a special ed child yet, so let's, hold on that. I shared the cost with you. So if you think about the cost, 2 students is equal to what we're talking about, having to put forward for this. So it's well worth it. I think it will save a lot of behavioral problems that, we might have going on at some of the schools. And I think it could really build, and maybe down the pike a few years, maybe we can look at even like the 4 or 5 coming into the picture if we have that need based on our kids. So I think it's really exciting, and I hope you guys are on board with this, and I think it's gonna be great.
Can I just add one thing while Laura's mentioning behaviors? Just to add for your consideration that a model like this doesn't just help the children who are struggling with regulation and behaviors. It helps all kids. It helps the kids that remain in our traditional school settings as well, if that makes sense.
Distractions.
Josh, if you may. So shout out to Kim here. I think she's looked at this document 37 times, maybe 38 today. And who's needed, right? Who's needed at Fast Academy? So we know we'll need a math teacher, we'll need an ELA teacher, we will need a science teacher, we need a social studies teacher, a guidance counselor, PE teacher, a special education teacher, administrative assistant, a social worker, an administrator, custodian, and we need our wonderful tutors, which we currently have, but obviously they'll be in a higher demand capacity. So now, I know the big question, everyone's probably thinking, that's a lot of people, that's a lot of dollars, right? And that's the right question to ask. So if we can, the next slide. And here's where the beauty comes in. Our total cost of the program is roughly $650,000. If we take out what we currently expend tuition for our expelled students is $160,000. We take out what we currently spend for our tutors, so we don't double count that money because it is counted once again on the previous slide, that would be $30,000. By doing the redistricting plan and having the bus runs be shorter, which I think everyone will be happy with, so we don't clear buses at 6 o'clock at night, and the bus runs will be more compact. From the bus company, the preliminary number in savings is there, which brings our total cost down to, again, for Bill, I apologize, thank you, $259,000 in savings, which brings our cost down for this program to offer this wonderful opportunity for all students in Torrington to $201,000. And where can we get that fund from? Not the general budget, not to be on the burden of the taxpayers, but from grants, specifically the Alliance at this time. However, kudos to Donna. I attended a breakfast last year, and there was a grant that we had just missed, and we're hopeful. Donna has been watching it probably weekly, and I remind her, if it comes out again, and that grant will fund this and more. So I know Derby School has used that grant. That's where I found out about it, at the breakfast with the Derby superintendent. I was happy for him to share it with us. And Donna said, shucks, we just missed it. But we're hopeful that maybe when things settle down, to your point, Mr. Corey, earlier, where we know some things are in influx, but when things settle down a bit, if that grant were to come back, we wouldn't have to use Alliance dollars, and we would be able to use this other grant.
So the bottom line number is 259,000?
201,000.
201,000, I'm sorry.
Nope, that's okay. And that's
I'm trying to keep up.
I got you. Josh? Mr. Corey?
You said that's it.
No, that was it for that slide, I'm sorry. Nope. So Donna has assisted with that. And Donna, if you want to take the Title I conversation, that would be wonderful.
Sure, I'd be happy to. So our 3 Title I schools are Vogel Wetmore, Southwest, and Forbes. So with this proposal, in keeping Forbes in our under our district and having our students attend it, we would remain receiving those federal funds, which we did receive information that the Title I and the IDA grant right now are not being touched or not spoken about. So we hopefully dodge that bullet, and that's in probably a conservative amount of about 2.5 of those funds. So for that particular school, for Forbes, I believe they're in alignment about 300,000. So if we keep the school, we remain a Title I school, and therefore those funds can continue to flow to our district.
And I would be remiss, obviously shout out to All Star for really sharpening the pencil and helping. But Donna and All Star have also been working with our 2 private schools in our community. We have to provide transportation, as is the law. But we've been working with them to readjust their schedules to allow for us to obtain these savings. So it has been a work in progress, and I give all the credit in the world to Donna. She's taken the bumps and bruises on those conversations. But they also understand this is for our community. And this is something we need to do while still providing their transportation. We're not denying them that, but they need to adjust their times in order for us to transport our students to and from school safely and in a more efficient and quicker manner. So we're very happy about that, and that's why we're seeing the savings as well. So it's a combination, and I want to make sure that I point that out and to thank them for their hard work coming to the table and working with us. And that is all we have.
Sure. I'm gonna exercise my chair's prerogative and go first, sorry. My immediate question, just related to the title funds, so you say Forbes is in the ballpark of 300,000. Is that required to be expended and accounted for on the school to which it's assigned, or does it just come to the district and be kind of?
It's supposed to align with the schools.
With the expenditure in the bill?
Yes.
Okay, but you don't have to put it in a separate account and pay, it's not like a grant in that sense where you have to.
No.
Okay, that's good. So I guess generally, my gut reaction is I like where we're heading. But I'm also maybe a little aspirational on some things. So I'm interested in what the rationale is for 4-hour days. I know in the initial discussions, some time ago, it was because we were gonna have one group of students in the building in the morning and one in the afternoon and evening. Is that still the rationale?
So our expelled students will have a later start time so that there's not too much crossover, obviously. And the reason for a shorter day in the alternative program, as Mrs. Ferguson said, in our research of successful alternative programs, it is to make them get their educational opportunity in a compact amount of time and to then offer them work opportunities in the work field. And that's been the most productive in other programs that we've visited.
Okay, and then I'm with you on the alternative program. What I would love to explore somehow is the biggest criticism that not only I have, but that I also hear in the community with regard to our expelled students is that while they are technically on paper getting an equivalent education to what they would receive here, they are only in their program's facility for a limited number of hours a day, and then it's sort of assumed that they'll be doing some sort of educational activity when they leave. We all know they're not. So I want to dispense with the notion that they are. I don't want to entertain it. What I want is for those expelled students to continue to be in school for a full school day. And I understand it may not be possible, but I would like to explore it. And if that means that we have to put a proposal in for some capital improvements to install some way to divide the building, I think we should explore the option and look at least a guesstimate on what it might cost, because I think it's a fair investment. I think, yes, expelled students have been punished, but not per se, right? They've sort of been removed from the facility for their safety and for everyone else's, but they are nevertheless our students, and we owe them a fair education. And frankly, it might be the only thing that helps them turn around before, instead of getting expelled, they're going to jail. So that's my immediate take, and I don't want you to think that I'm criticizing the entire plan, because I otherwise think it's good. I would love to bring some of our outplaced students home. It's been something I've been talking about since before I was elected to the board. I used to yell and wave my arms at a couple of the board members at that time about this, about how important it could be. So I just kind of want to explore that option of having those expelled students in school for a full day. I get what you're saying about the alternative program students, and I will defer to expertise on that. I want these expelled students, if at all possible, to get a real equivalent education to what they would be getting in. And I'll stop repeating this.
Understood.
And can I just add one thing too, just for clarification, the 18 to 22 program would not be a shortened day, that would be their regular. I just wanted people to know.
I knew you were passionate, I knew you were gonna correct that one.
Just wanted them to think we were shortening their day.
No, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I've got.
My question was specific to Forbes and to your point about the separation of students. And I'm not very familiar with the Forbes building, but do we already have something like that in place where you have to, there's a separate part of the building where it's key controlled or can be key controlled?
So
No?
Dean had
People
looked
say
in it,
no.
but no, it's not separate, but we can find a separate space.
Okay.
I don't wanna speak for you, Dean. I'm
No,
sorry.
yeah, no, yeah, I mean, anything can be done,
Okay.
right, but we looked at a couple of the options
Without
where
going too
certain
much
students would be, students will be, the facilities they would have as opposed to the other part of the building. So we looked at it before, but we need to get a little bit further before we can.
Yeah, well, once we discuss it as a board and come back and I think then it'll move forward. And the other question is, as far as the bus schedules go, I think we're a couple months out on that, but we can talk about that. But as far as timing, start and stop times, do you expect to see significant changes in that?
So we have the schedule that we had put out at the time, so 7:20. I can pull it up for you.
That's right, the one from originally,
I'm sorry,
initially?
yes, I can give you the exact times that they've been operating from bus people.
So that won't change?
That will not change, but I can
Oh,
share it
okay.
aloud if you'd like.
Yes, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Just pull it there. So THS and TMS will be 7:20 to 2:20. The new intermediate school will be 8 to 3, and the 3 elementary schools will be 8:45 to 3:40. That is what the bus company has been working.
In the two
Pretty
Catholic
close to
schools.
what we've got going on.
Right, and the two Catholic schools are adjusting their start and stop times around those?
That's correct.
Okay.
Because the bulk of our students will be obviously our high school, middle school run, and then our intermediate school. So that's when that swoop of buses will be easier for our elementary, but that's when they'll also handle privates. And then come back and handle all alternative as well as arts now.
Alright.
Les, can I say something?
Please.
Ed, just back to your comment, coming from technical high school like you did, and understanding, dealing with a lot of youths like I have, if that particular students, I'm not saying everybody, but if those particular students are struggling in school, and they do have an opportunity to get out early and go to work, I don't wanna outweigh that with more classes. I don't wanna outweigh that with more sitting in a classroom and learning that way. Because chances are they're in trouble because that's not how they learn, obviously. Or that's not their comfort, so that's all, it's pretty heavy.
Something to think about.
Yeah, so I'm thinking it's pretty heavy, kids would love that.
The other thing too is if we have 3 students to 1 adult, it's very different than being 1 of 25 to an adult, right? So there is a way, I hear you, and certainly what they're doing now at one of the off-site expelled sites is not even what we've got going on in Midgeon, right? Like we would still have a 4-hour program for the kids, So just something to toss around, yeah.
Thank you. And
I'm good.
alright, so with regard to this start times, because I didn't think about it until you just read them out and I looked over your shoulder. So that's a change in start time to what, half an hour to 45 minutes earlier relative to where we are now. And I get that the bus company can work that out and the students, it will probably be fine. Do we have contractual concerns in our collective bargaining agreements for start times for any of our employees, or are we left changing the will?
Yeah,
Okay.
there is language that says that the school schedule can be changed at the discretion of the superintendent and the board.
Okay, all right, as long as we don't have to renegotiate. So,
We wouldn't want that.
Sorry, should we just go down the line?
Yeah, sure.
I just had a couple petty questions. So middle school and high school are gonna start at the same time?
Correct.
Okay.
And the same schedule.
So with Ed Advance, I know when we sold the building, are there any contractual obligations that we're gonna violate by opening up our own alternative program at all?
Nope, so it's a great question. Laura actually dug through the basement archives, I think, and brought me a nice old moldy copy. But no, it's been revamped where we have a partnership with them and we have the opportunity, if we had the opportunity to leave, it would be us just leaving in good faith. They just offered that partnership as part of that deal of that e-school, so we can continue using the space. I think it was for another,
Until 2030.
thank you. I was gonna say 30, so thank you.
Yes, because I
So
think
we-
originally it was like a 5-year agreement when we sold the building.
But there is no violation for us just leaving.
Fair enough.
Yep, great question.
You have anything?
The numbers and budget, if Southwest is becoming K3, which now it's a 4-5, I would like to see more in-depth of the cost for teachers moving and then the new ones hiring. I just wanna see the detail.
So I can answer that question. I think I understand your question. If those teachers that would be removed from Vogel and Torringford, and I say removed, but obviously there's a process we work with removing. That teacher salary is that teacher salary. It does not matter which building that teacher is in. It has no budgetary value.
I get that. But if TMS is becoming 4-6,
Correct.
so 4 and 5, there seems to be more rooms at the middle school for the teachers. Would you have to hire more teachers or let teachers go?
Teachers all remain the same. This plan started way back in November of 2023, and what I said from then was no teachers or administrators would lose their job, and this plan has that right in place. And actually, as I shared earlier, we increase our staff because we're keeping those current alternative teachers at the middle school and at the high school to repurpose them based on their specialty areas. Zero impact to the budget, zero.
The thing that we want to add about that, sorry, is that the teachers that would go to work at Fast Academy, that would be hired for Fast Academy, would be hired based on a true desire. It would be their calling to work in an alternative school setting. Some folks want to work with that population.
An existing teacher?
Once the posting, when Kim posts the
Anybody
posting
can
out,
apply.
anyone can
There's
apply.
other teachers that have already expressed interest.
But we-
So it could be an existing teacher or it could be a new hire.
Yes,
Absolutely.
it's not gonna be where folks from the high school or middle school are reassigned involuntarily. People would have to want to go.
Okay, so you have a list of all those new.
Correct, that was the slide that said
Can I see
staffing.
numbers by that?
So that number would be in that final slide of what the total cost of
Alan wants to know per position.
Well, if you,
It's whatever our teachers start at. Because whenever
Yeah,
we
it's the
add
starting-
Specific.
whenever we add a teaching position, obviously an internal hire can take it, but until we know that, the budgetary impact functionally is simply that we are adding a position. Because if a top step teacher decides they want to go to the new, Fast Academy, we're still going to backfill their job at whatever they were teaching before. So ultimately, the budgetary impact per position is whatever the starting salary is per teacher.
which is, and if you don't mind, I have it right here, 58,697. And that's how that number was calculated. If you times that from those new positions, math, ELA, social studies, science, guidance, specialists, that's exactly what we did.
We usually
That's
do.
how that slide at
Wouldn't
the end.
Wouldn't you also need behaviorists and, because it's an alternative program, you know what I mean? Or-
So I'm working with my leadership team right now, and there are gonna be shifts in our department because of, just what's gonna happen, the grade level changes and whatnot. But in looking at what we need, it would just be shifts. Like I know that I'll be able to put like a RBT over there. We may be able
Solely
to have
there.
some paras over there, so I don't foresee the need for additional.
Or like part-time in one school, part-time in this school?
No. I don't wanna do that for teaching positions or, paras.
Would you think we would need a officer?
We have our ASO that's assigned there currently, we have our 4 ASOs, they're still staying 4 ASOs.
And for what it's worth too, with this, students who may be outplaced, correct me if I'm wrong, but if we have an outplaced student who needs a one-to-one, that's already our employee anyway, right? So,
Well, yes, we're paying for that.
right, so
Yes.
if they come back home, it's already accounted for that student needs a one-to-one, because we're paying for it,
Correct.
they're outplaced setting.
What if they need OT, PT? We still have it.
Yes, I don't really foresee that need much over there. Social work, yes, and that's in the
That's on
plan.
the list.
Right. Anything else there?
No.
Patrick, do you have anything?
I think it's a great idea.
Thank you.
I have a couple questions, you can have a couple. Just a couple, when you take 2 K3s and turn it into 3, right? So if we look at the overall plan, we're moving all of the Forbes and Southwest students to the new intermediate school. And those nurses and support, all that stuff has to kind of follow with the children, because you're taking and opening a second middle school, or a new middle school, right? So keeping Southwest and Forbes open in whatever capacity there are, I just didn't see the impact to budget for Southwest staying open as a K3. You're still gonna need overhead to the buildings, you'll still have nurses, and there's gonna be extra positions maybe that we could see in a future meeting. What are those expenses going to look like versus, we'll say the original plan, when they first proposed shifting everybody around? There's a base cost to compare against, and I would argue that it's not, or I would suggest it's not what we pay now, it's what we would pay if we shifted around initially.
Well, it's a great question, and I can tell you, because the budget will be sent out Friday, obviously, we wanted to present this evening, but with the budget, with keeping the buildings open, with keeping the needs, with keeping the staffing needs, you'll see that in the budgetary presentation. But the staffing needs from this pure sole purpose of redistricting have been shared this evening. Any other building costs will be in our full board budget. But this is the cost just for the redistricting as we were charged to do. So I understand, while you might say, well, if we close it, we save that money. Okay, we would save the money basically on just turning the lights off and turning the building back over to the city. It's not a net savings of millions of dollars, and it wouldn't, in my opinion, and I can easily speak for the cabinet, wouldn't offset the benefits of doing this plan that we have here by just closing that and not alleviating the stress on the other buildings. So that is in the budget, but it is not here, you're correct, but what's here is what's needed, and every other place is not getting slighted. That's all been worked out.
So what's here is the alternative presentation. When you split people up amongst more buildings than they're in now for K3, you have to have more staff to do that.
I disagree. We are moving those people, and because we're shifting it, some people will shift, and, Kim and I have worked on this from a staffing perspective.
Put that in detail.
Exactly, so it's not, you will not see an impact in the staff. The only impact, I have no problem sharing this, you're gonna get the budget packet anyway, the impact is custodians. We need more custodians. And that's 100% because of the square footage of the brand new facilities. So that is 100% justifiable just based on per square foot, per cleaning, per regulations. And Dean has worked really hard, and we put that in our packet as well to talk to it. But the costs you see are the costs you see. There are no hidden costs.
Jeff, it's kind of like a lift and go, right? So if there's, at Torringford, for example, if if you just try to envision it this way, 2 kindergarten teachers and those kids lift and go to Southwest and just open up shop there, right? And the same thing for first grade, second grade, third grade. The only thing changing is the location. They're current kids, current staff.
There's already nurses, there's already
Right.
custodians, there's already
Right.
secretaries.
Admins.
Right.
Our total number of students isn't changing, so the staff just has to be reallocated. But it won't create a need for more.
So maybe we could see, and when we get to that point, how how that works with people picking up and moving, because we went through this conversation 7 years ago. We went from 4 elementary K-5s to the smaller groups, and the efficiency pickup was immense, because you don't have, if you have 5 kindergarten teachers in a building, right? You have 5, you can have 125 kids. If you only have 99 or you have 101, you adjust your staff equivalently. But if you have Torringford K3 and they have 26 kids, you still need 2 teachers, where if you had 5, I mean, the efficiency changed. Number of staff divided by number of students. It changed when we went from.
We also laid off a significant number of teachers. You may be forgetting that part, but I haven't.
Well, it was done by retirement. People who retired, we didn't replace. We did that.
We eliminated a significant number of teachers.
And I'm not suggesting we eliminate anybody. I'm just suggesting that that all happened and we ended up with less people. I just in my head find it hard to believe that we'd go in the other direction and split up again and not have more people. I'm not saying that it's a bad idea, but I'm just trying to understand it. When you split up amongst more places, you have more cost.
I think it may be helpful to just put it like super simply, because I think it is kind of a simple issue. These buildings are already open. There's already a secretary or 2 at the front desk. There's already a principal and assistant principal. There's already a custodian in the morning, custodian at night. There's already a nurse in the nurse's office. All of the buildings we're talking about are already open. They already have their support staff. And we're just gonna move what kids are in them.
Yeah.
Sure, except you're opening TMS.
And yeah, I was gonna say, can I just add, and you also have to, and we go through this, Sue and I talk about this a lot, you have to remember that although Forbes is no longer gonna be an elementary school, we have added another site at the THS campus that is another school that we're now adding. So it's really 6 for 6. We're not really, like when East closed, we actually closed an entire site and then had to redistribute staff. We really don't have that here. So the example that I'll use is library media. We currently have 6 library media specialists because there's 1 in each site. We are still going to need 6 because we are still going to have 6 sites. So.
Jeff, if I could just give an example too of like resource, let's just say for resource. So right now, we have kindergarten resource students at both Vogel and Torringford. Well, I might have 5 kindergarten resource kids at Vogel and 8 at Torringford. That really is not a need for 2 teachers to be teaching that. So if they're in the same building, 1 resource room teacher can take on both of those groups. So I think that right now, like my staff specifically is more spread out. By bringing them, combining, I think I'm gonna be able to get a lot, my numbers are gonna be better.
How would your group be combining if we're moving them amongst more buildings?
So, I think like primarily I'm thinking too like our programs. So for example, I might have had groups of kids, like intensive resource. I might have had to have them separate, but now I can combine those 2 groups into the 1 school and then have 1 intensive resource where the kids are a little bit, there's more because the resource room teachers can take more than that small number. So in looking at my staffing and talking about how we're gonna pick people up, if you were 4th grade and you taught 4th grade resource, you're gonna pick up and go to the intermediate school, right? So if we do that, depending on the numbers, I may not need as many 4th grade resource room teachers because they're all in that 1 building. You see what I'm saying? So it's just combining, and looking at it, we are gonna be able to be more efficient. And yeah, I need everybody. It's not like I have extra people, but I don't see the need, like Michael said, I don't see the need for additional.
And my last follow-up question is for the alternative for our expelled students. They're in a totally non-student environment now, right? They're not how does that work? How do we do that? Is there a rule? Are we allowed to have them at the same time, or do you have to totally split the days? You say, is it 4 hours and then 4 more hours when they're not there at the same time? How does that work from our state?
Great question. So we have to technically attempt to split the times so that there's no contact, or we have to be able to say that they're in a totally separate part of the building. And we can overlap times if they are in so for example, if we were to walk into Forbes right now, and if everyone would walk in with me virtually, right? If you go to the left, which is our current pre-K area, if that area were, let's say for our expelled students, those 5 classrooms down there, that would be it. Whereas if you go to the right in the hallway, we could have an alternative program. And as long as it is set, we would be allowed to do it, and/or we'd have to look for separate times.
Okay, so you can split the building with foyers or
That's
whatever
correct.
to make it like it's 2 schools in one.
Exactly, you got it.
And those classrooms were 3rd grade when I was there.
Long time.
Dating yourself, Mr. Cody. I mean, I'll take your word for it.
John, did you really think?
Couple questions. Idea is certainly worth looking at, needs to be refined, but we said that already, that this is going to be something we're looking at. The grants that we're thinking of to fund this, how many of those are pass-through grants, one way or another, from the feds?
The Alliance grant is state funded, so that's
Totally
not-
state funded, there's
totally
no
state
federal
funded.
support for that?
No federal support.
Okay, and you're already going to answer Chairman Curry's question about other grants as they might affect the system, because they will also affect whatever we do in
Could
the
I just
future.
piggyback on your grant question, because it was one thing I did want to mention to everyone. Forbes did receive a security grant for $70,000 for security cameras, and unfortunately, the money has to stay with the school. So that's one other benefit for keeping the school open, is that we would be the recipient of the security grant, which would entail cameras and so forth that we're looking at the facility.
Additional locked doors, if it's security related?
We could ask for a budget modification possibly, because it is an infrastructure grant. I'm sorry to cut you off.
School Improvement Committee will meet at Forbes School for March. We're looking at the 4 or 5 schools. March is that meeting. So if you have any idea, Dean, about how the building might be divided, you'll have as many board members who want to show up for that, a chance to walk through maybe for the half hour before the meeting or something. If we're ready, if we decide to continue that way.
I think we have a general idea, right, where we can, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a couple months from now, so
Yeah.
a month and a half.
Yeah.
So the kids in the alternative program won't be there for the whole day, or maybe will, depending on what that final decision is, but if they're there for only part-time, do we give these kids a diploma? Are you envisioning giving it will be a Torrington High School diploma?
It will, and what's been done in other alternative programs that we've went out and visited, because they're getting their core classes, and because they are receiving that, for example, physical education credit, the credits will matriculate. They don't have the opportunity to obtain as many credits, but if they successfully complete their core credits each year and every year, it would be my recommendation that the board would award them the same diploma based on them obviously taking part in their school day, even though their school day is on a shortened day.
And the state won't worry about the hours that they are in school, because I
They
know
have
there's a
not in
form
the other
of where they
programs that I've visited.
Do we have a schedule yet for, and I'm looking at the memo that we got, the email that we got in September when the committee was disbanded. This isn't the end of faculty, staff, parent board, or community participation in the plan. We plan to present a fully developed draft in the near future, and at that time, we will again open the process to engagement through various channels, including Board of Ed meetings, it's tonight, Q&A sessions, listening tour, and more. So do we have a schedule for this increase, or now that we're going to present something? Do you have a schedule for that yet?
I do not, because I know Mr. Corey had mentioned that, and we had talked about it prior to that meeting, where I think that was his quote, it might have been mine. But in any event, we definitely can proceed with that and sharing. Obviously, this was the first public foray into it. Obviously, there'll be more components in terms of the mapping and things of that nature, which won't happen until probably April-ish. But in terms of anyone who wanted to hear this format or come and have a conversation about it, we have no issue holding an evening event where people can do so.
Okay, and it was from Ed and
It
Sue.
was, and I would like to.
I didn't want to miss.
Yeah, no, and I would, to John's point, I would like to adhere to that as best we can.
100%.
I know that it's difficult schedule-wise, but I'd like to get out to as many sites and talk to as many people. I mean, this affects a lot of families, a lot of employees. We can transfer people around, we have that right, but it doesn't mean it's a satisfying experience. So, you know, as folk, and frankly, I'm not in our buildings every day, like our teachers and administrators are. So, you know, I'm sure they have lots to say, lots of insight, lots of concerns, and I'd like to stick to our commitment to make this a participatory process.
I will plan a cookies and cocoa and redistricting conversation evening. How's that? It's a lot, it's a mouthful, there's a whole me to that.
Maybe we do the budget Q&A the same night.
We could do a split meeting, first half, Tuesday.
We get some real food.
And the other point I have at this moment, the question came about assigning people to the alternative program. There are people who work well and want to work with that population, and they're the people you want working with these students. And I think, I don't have any question that we could find people within the system who want to do that and who will do it well. So if that's a question in anyone's mind, or reservation in anyone's mind, no. This population is okay to work with under the right circumstances. They can be delightful and they can learn a lot. So I don't have any question about that part of it, and I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Bill?
So in the plan that you're presenting, there'd only be one 4-5 school?
There would only be one 4-6 school.
Yeah,
Correct.
okay.
At the current TMS location.
And that's the school that's been renamed the intermediate school?
That's correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Kristen, if you're not on your flight yet, that would be your opportunity to dive into this. I know, is she still there? Okay, so assuming, based on the lack of response, that she is on a plane, thank you all for your.
Thank you.
Hi, guys. I'm still here. I'm sorry. It's just a really loud airport.
Did you want to jump in with any questions, comments, concerns about what we heard on redistricting?
Nothing right now.
Okay, great.
I just wanted to follow one thing. A question for Mr. Wilson and Mr. Pergola. Have we submitted our capital plan to the city yet?
We had at the previous meetings, and we were told that it was not accepted. They are not going to put it in our capital.
Okay, great. So in our 5-year capital plan, in the 5-year capital plan, we did have, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in here, you know, granted, if the vision for Forbes is to go to the Fast Academy, some of these things would not apply, and there's other things that would apply, such as I'm sure we need to get rid of the little tiny chairs and so forth, desks.
Repurpose.
If that's the plan, can we revise the 5-year capital plan to go in line with what the Fast Academy is gonna be and adjust the needs accordingly?
Absolutely, and that would be done through a facility subcommittee, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. And the last question I would have is, you know, since we still have the middle school that's being built out, you know, perhaps maybe we can add some changes to the FF&E package and add some tables and chairs and computers, and because that is 85% reimbursed from the state, if we can expand upon our purchasing for the second half of school and utilize that for the FAST program, just keep that in the back of your brain, I don't know.
Great idea.
Thanks. Kristen had her hand up there, unless there's been a mistake.
Hi. So yeah, I did think of something, and this is something that I have brought up in the past, but in terms of our staff, you know, our hardworking staff, I'd really like for them to know sooner rather than later, you know, what their role will be and at which school. Because I know there's a lot of anxiety, so to speak, around the staff in Torrington, that they would really like to know, you know, where they're going and when, and, you know, a little bit more details, because things will change for them as well.
I absolutely agree, Kristen. We had our meeting with the TEA leadership team, and we had shared, we shared that with them, that we had to have this meeting first, but we did share kind of the overall thoughts. I don't want to steal Sue's quote, but really the pick up and move, and they were on board with the pick up and move concept, but they also understand that some people obviously would physically be moving from both Torringford and Vogel to Southwest. So yes, that conversation has to happen. We agree, and this was step one in it, because we also have to talk to our administrators as well, because there'll be changes there.
Right. Yeah. No, I completely agree. I just, you know, our town is pretty spread out, and, you know, we might have teachers or staff that live on one side of town and, you know, might need to change childcare or, you know, parent care, anything like that. The sooner the better would be great. And I appreciate you, you know, being on board with that.
Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you.
Ellen, and then John.
I just remember what you said, but about food, so still if it becomes the FAST Academy, or the intermediate, now the FAST Academy, there would be breakfast and lunch also, it would be the same
That's correct.
thing.
Kristen Gagnon is on. Yes.
Jeff.
What will the model, we didn't get into this, but what's the model going to look like at 4-6? We talked a little bit about it, but hadn't really come out. I know a lot of people have asked, hey, the 4 and 5s are not used to changing classes, it's a total change for them and their families. And have we given any thought, or we have any goal in mind for how that's gonna work at 4-6? Is the 6th graders want to get prepared for 7th and 8th?
So we've actually had a lot of thought and a lot of conversation around there, and there's a lot of different models that can and can't work. As we said, and I'll say again, staff is important. We don't want to lose any staff. That was the promise I had made starting this venture way back in 2023. So the model that we're tossing around currently is, if we think of that 4 or 5 as that pickup model, that would stay the same, and the grade 6 would be the opportunity for some of our grade 6 students, as they currently do, to change, but in a more controlled setting. And that's just one model. There are other models that we're looking at and that we will gladly share once we vet those, but we didn't think it was appropriate at this stage until the board heard exactly what was taking place, but those conversations have happened and will continue to happen.
And it would be an excellent item to solicit feedback.
Correct.
As well.
Yeah, and we want to make sure, as Michael said, that first and foremost, that we are able to use all of our staff with whatever configuration we land on. So we want to make sure that whatever options we present to other groups are going to work for this, you know, make sure that we're not going to lose anybody.
So the number of classes, or the number of rooms you have in the schools, you know, be placed at others, it's the same number of rooms, would that open any extra rooms? Like within Southwest, if that becomes a K3, would there be extra rooms so that they?
Extra rooms at Torringford and Vogel, for
Right,
sure.
because they're bursting at the seams,
That's
so
the
there's more
whole-
room to do like individualized or whatever.
Exactly.
And pre-K.
Yep.
And in the future, this is something I thought about saying but didn't want to throw out there too prematurely, but in the future, I would love to consider, you know, if there's ever money available, to add just elementary teaching positions and use those classrooms and reduce the class sizes for our elementary teachers. I think especially, I would love to do that. I think especially at the elementary level, our students will perform better through their entire school career if they're not in a classroom with 24 other kids.
Absolutely.
And right now, even if you wanted to and we had the money, you couldn't do that because they're busting at the seams.
Right, we don't
So,
have the
yeah.
space. They're already performing better, even in the larger setting, just by virtue of the fact that we've changed our instructional delivery model at the lowest grades. We're excited about that, but to reduce the class size would even further increase student achievement.
So depending on what the budget you bring to us on Friday looks like, this may be an item from discussion. I'm serious.
No,
I mean,
I'm not. I
yeah,
agree.
to Ellen's point, if we have the space and the city just did a paper reval and has a new sense of how much the property in the city of Torrington is worth, and as such has lots of money available, maybe now is the time to beg for it. I think it's not some half-cocked plan. You know, I think anybody, even the members of the council who have never served on the Board of Ed, can appreciate that extra elementary teachers and smaller class sizes is good. Sorry to steal your thunder. Alan still has the floor, and then your next bill.
I'm sorry. Another thing is, if the city doesn't accept our budget and make it less, do we have a plan B?
We do.
Okay.
Hey,
I'd
Bill.
like to,
And
I'd
a
like to
C.
see that, and we will see it all, okay.
Bill, go ahead.
That's a possibility.
Alan.
I know that this is the plan that you're presenting. Maybe I misheard, maybe I misheard a comment you made, Mike. Are there other models that you're considering?
Not for the redistricting, no, this is the one.
Okay, I either misheard or misunderstood something you said.
It's okay. I apologize if I misspoke.
I had a follow-up to Ed's very good point about making classes smaller. Do we have maybe an estimate as to how many people, how this would help us, how the estimated number of people in each building goes, so we can see what those class sizes are targeting to see that benefit for everybody?
But we don't have a single elementary classroom that's significantly under maximum class size, right? They're all 24, 25 students.
Kindergarten this year,
Kindergarten.
only because of the change in the kindergarten start age, and that's, yeah, that was just sort of a normal fluke, yeah.
And class numbers will be in the board packet as they were last year, so everyone will get to see that to answer your both questions. Yep.
Anybody else? Last call, it's been a long discussion, but I think a productive one. Moving it along.
Special meeting in a couple weeks for us to talk about it.
Yeah, so the board will deliberate, and we'll work, Sue and I will work with the central office administrators to put together, some things to pull in the community, our employees, et cetera. Cause I don't wanna just pay that lip service and then present them a final product that I've decided on and just tell them that, now's your time to yell at me. I would like it to be a participatory process. Okay, so then we now have, this will be fun, a possible executive session regarding the retirement incentive memorandum of understanding for the TEA, TPSAA, and Local 1579. I will hear a motion as such. I assume inviting in the superintendent
Initially,
and
but
Michelle.
if I may, it's totally your purview, Mr. Corey. You may wish to take those in a bundle, so you don't have to come out and vote on one and go back in to make it more convenient for board members. May
Are
be
you saying to
difficult.
do both executive sessions at the same time?
That would be up to you. I just make it convenient for some members.
Yeah, well, so what I think, I don't know that we actually can do that.
Okay.
But what we can do is instead, we'll belay a vote on this item that we're about to go in for on the memorandum of understanding, so that the only vote in between them would be to enter the second executive session, and that way, we can kind of move it along and not everybody has to come back out here, upstairs. So with that, I will hear a motion, on the first executive session, as noted, inviting in Mr. Wilson and Ms. Schulte.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are in executive session at 7:24. We're back in open session here at 7:30 PM, and I would like to entertain a motion to enter executive session regarding the collective bargaining agreement with the Torrington Public Schools Administrators Association, inviting in the superintendent, assistant superintendent, and is Jim coming too? Yes. Yeah, and Ms. Schulte.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We are in executive session. Thank you, everyone. we are, we are back in open session at 7:45 p.m. So we did delay the votes just for convenience sake. So first, I would hear a motion to approve memorandums of understanding. To be clear, these are separate memorandums, but I'll take one motion. For memorandum of understanding regarding early retirement incentives for the Torrington Education Association, the Torrington Public Schools Administrators Association, and AFSCME Council for Local 1579. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, I would just say for anybody's benefit who is listening and doesn't know what we're talking about, this is a continuation of a relatively long-standing agreement we've had with the teachers and a more recent one with the administrators in Local 1579 to incentivize our employees who retire early to come back and do substitute teaching or other work, depending on what they were doing when they worked for us full-time, in exchange for their healthcare premiums to be paid in retirement for the first 3 years. And with that, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so those MOUs are each individually adopted by the board. I will now hear a motion to approve the collective bargaining agreement with the Torrington Public Schools Administrators Association as negotiated and tentatively agreed to by our negotiating committee.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, made by Mr. Putnam, seconded by Mr. Knight. Any discussion? Hearing none, I would again just add, I wasn't sitting in on these negotiations, but I have reviewed the agreement, and I think it's one that everyone can be excited about in terms of clarifying the structure of our administrative team, giving well-deserved raises to our administrators. We're in our buildings every day. So I'm excited that we can get this one done, and now we will have contracts for a couple of years, I think, at least, before you've got to negotiate another one with all of our bargaining units. So with that, I will call a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so that agreement is adopted. Thank you to our negotiating team. Thank you to the Torrington Public Schools Administrators Association. With that, we have our items for the upcoming agenda. There will be, of course, further discussion on the redistricting plan. We will have seen the budget then, so we will hear about it and present it before the public at that time. We'll have all of the run-of-the-mill stuff that come from our committees, like the monthly financials, the minutes. I think by then, are you thinking February or no, March for the propane stuff, right? Okay, so we won't have bids at the next meeting for that, but closely following we will. Anyone have anything else that will need to go on that agenda?
Quite likely an approval or at least a recognition of the board's self-evaluation. We'll have had a chance to discuss it by then.
Yes, excellent. So the board self-evaluation as well. Anyone else? Okay, I think that's a pretty good list. Comments for the good of the order. Is Kristen still on? Start digitally this time.
I think she had to go into airplane mode.
Oh, okay. All right, so then we'll start at the far end of the table. Bill?
Nothing.
Okay. John?
Continuation of something I said at the budget meeting. Another article in today's paper about the Region 20 program, so we are aware of it, so we know what's going on. Less incendiary title, Region 20 board set to tackle, blah, blah, blah. Less incendiary. And if you haven't read the CABE legislative agenda, look at it, you find out what CABE is up to, because we should know. We also got the school superintendents passed out earlier, but haven't had a chance to look at them yet. We need to be aware of what people want to change in the legislature. It's a lot of mischief going on in our
Jeff?
Just want to take a moment and recognize all the people who made it possible for the building to open up on time this past week. So congratulations to everybody who's working there and has worked there, and thanks for all their hard work and effort. It's a beautiful place for the kids, and proud to be a member of Torrington. Thank you.
Do it again in 6 months.
That's right.
Same, thank you, and look forward to more information on it.
I will echo the words of Mr. Skisto and Mr. Putnam about the reading information and about the school. Just echo their words.
We had a great meeting, we got a lot accomplished tonight. Thank you.
Start at the far end of the table. Great job.
Good meeting, thank you.
Laura.
I am excited about the possibility of FAST. And go Torrington.
Thank you for attending, that was a great meeting.
Great, echo Laura's sentiment and great meeting and great day.
Yeah, great meeting. I'm so excited about our student presenters tonight. That was truly very exciting. Oh, I also want to add, and I know they've left, but we're gonna recognize them in a future meeting, that we had several elementary folks who have kind of flexible schedules, like our coaches, who went up to the high school and helped with the move shift, and it was much appreciated.
So I just want to give Rachel and Dean a huge shout out. Their time has been spent numerous hours working to get everything set for the new school, and couldn't be happier with everything that they've done, and I couldn't be more appreciative of everything they've done. So huge shout out to them. Their hard work and their team's hard work did not go unnoticed by me, and I definitely can speak on behalf of the board on that. Thank you for all of that. And you know, just as I normally say, you know, being visible in the schools is a wonderful thing, and shout out to all of our staff and students we get to see, and our administrators, to see the hard work daily. And we couldn't be prouder of that.
I'm like, I'll start with what I'm angry about instead of ending with it this time. I think it's patently absurd that the city of Torrington can just decide that it doesn't care about the Board of Education's capital plan, despite the fact that we've met our obligation to put it together, substantiate the estimated costs and transmit it to them in a timely fashion. I wish that I could do government that way, and just wave off anything I don't like and ignore people who need things from me. But instead, I'm an adult. I just think the contrast between the city of Torrington and the Torrington Board of Ed could not be more clear. That in all of these dealings, we are the functioning board who's delivering real results for people. We're the ones who, you know, don't have excessive turnover rates among our employees because we're not abusing them or expecting loyalty from them. We're not the ones handing out contracts to our friends and business associates and political donors. And I again submit, we're the only ones delivering results for the people of Torrington. So with that, take a more positive tone and echo everyone's thank yous. And really, thank you to the Administrators Association. You know, I always like to give our bargaining units a shout out when we reach a collective bargaining agreement with them. These things are never one-sided. And it's nice to still be able to say, after many, many negotiations, that I've never had any of our agreements go to arbitration. You know, we remain happy partners. And thank you for everybody, obviously, who did all this tremendous work on the new school.
And I make one comment, and I apologize, I never like to come back. Mr. Kisco, I understand your concern and the article you brought up. I would just point out that I think this board and this community is blessed and lucky to have a team that puts together a budget that those concerns are mitigated and don't exist.
And
So
because
I just
we-
share that as a comment.
Because we have that kind of team, we don't have to worry about that.
That's correct.
But
Well
eternal
said.
vigilance is the cost
Nope,
of freedom.
100%.
I believe that's Jefferson.
Nope, I echo that, thank you.
My least favorite president.
I don't have
Positive note.
I know.
He did say
Well,
positive.
yeah, you can catch me after the meeting if you want to know my president rankings. So.
I think we could figure that out on our own.
Future meetings. No, that's Jefferson is my least favorite. And it's true, Thomas Jefferson remains my least favorite president. We have future meetings, committee meetings for school improvement and policy on Wednesday the 5th at Minchin Avenue. Facilities, technology, and budget on Wednesday the 12th of February at Minchin Avenue. The Board of Education will be having its Board of Ed retreat on Field Street on February 18th. And we will have our regular Board of Education meeting here at Torringford on February the 26th. And with that, I will hear a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned at 7:55.